Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Celine. Welcome. So in today's video, I want to do a Q&A style video on frequently asked questions about SRA and mind control. So for those of you that don't know, I am a survivor of SRA and mind control. I started my journey in healing about 5 to 6 years ago, and I got my memories back at that point. And I had to start piecing my life together really as it was, and not how I thought it was. If you know a bit about mind control, they can wipe memories and replace memories and block things out, and also with the trauma aspect as well. Our brain will naturally put up amnesiac walls. So once these walls start breaking down, then the trauma starts getting released and the memories with it, and then we can work through it for healing. I was on a spiritual journey, so that was part of my healing journey process really, and my awakening process. So one of the questions I get asked is, how do you know you have multiple personalities? If you have been involved in any form of sexual abuse, including SRA and mind control, you will have multiple personalities. What happens is the brain naturally splinters off, especially with sexual abuse. So a lot of perpetrators, if they're not already involved in the entire network, the Illuminati network, because this is where this stems from, I will be doing a presentation on this. I'm kind of starting about 1901 to 1917 and showing how those tentacles have infiltrated into society. This includes the mafia, the high up drug dealers, drug cartel, things like that. These are all people that are involved within the Illuminati network. So, as I say, you will naturally have these alters that are created, or parts in the brain. So when a perpetrator that's not involved with the Illuminati is caught, the reason they're getting lesser sentences is because they are then selling their child that they've been abusing, especially if it's their own, obviously. They will sell that child into the mind control program, and so they become a part of that network, and they're getting less sentences that way. It's also a multi-generational thing, so your family could have might be heavily involved in it from quite far back really. I know it went up as far as my great-grandmother, or certainly with the handlers that I was involved with at the time on the Isle of Man in the UK. It went up to her, and then even above that, and they were all Knights Templar and Illuminati. So that's basically one way to know you've got multiple personalities. Another way is that you might switch into different personalities or alters. So you might be more of a child one day, but the next day you might be more kind of confident and things. Different switching that happens in that process. Another thing I noticed with me in the early days was one day I'd be strong and confident, be able to send an email, and then the following day I might wake up and not feel like that at all, and not want to face the reply to that email, especially if it was a complaint or something I'd sent in, because I did deal a lot with child services and things the last few years. So it might not be a reply I want, and then I wouldn't feel that confident, and I'd avoid answering those emails and just not answering them. And these were because I was switching into different alters at that time. That was like 12 years ago. Another question I've been asked was, how do they get birth certificates? So in my case, I was given a different identity. I was taken at the age between 5 and 6, and I was given to another family on the Isle of Man, as I say. My identity was changed, and I was turned into a 3-year-old. Now I'm only 5'2", so obviously, I've always been quite small, and it was easy for them to do that. They also created an altar around that as well. They put me into nursery again and that kind of thing, and I did protest a lot. And one of the questions I was asked was, What were the clues I used to leave myself? I used to leave myself clues so I could remember things. Because with the mind control, it still takes, it's a process, and they still need a certain amount of time for the mind control to kind of solidify within your mind. So if you leave yourself little notes, and anyone can do this, then you can re-jog your memory. You'll kind of, it'll be something that you recognize, and it'll suddenly start coming back to you what it is that you'd forgotten about it. It'll be something familiar, and that's how it was for me. So that was how I learned to kind of override this process as well for me. So with the birth certificates, as I say, they changed my identity. Now you would wonder, how do they do that? Well, because again, it's the Illuminati network. There's government people involved. You know, there's all sorts of people at all levels of society that are involved in this. You know, you get teachers, social workers, judges, which is why a lot of times family court doesn't go in the victim's favour. It will go in the abuser's favour, especially if they're connected into this and going up against it, which was what happened to me. So they can get the birth certificates that way because they're covered basically, you know, by the network, and so they can get away with that kind of thing. And so they're able to access different birth certificates for different people. And this has happened to a lot of people as well. That's not just in my case. Um, Another question I get asked all the time is about the tunnels. There are tunnels, networks of tunnels everywhere, all over the world, that all connect the prime places. So you've got tunnels and like large gold rooms under central building in New York. I've heard a few survivors talk about that as well. That's not only just my story. Um, and all these tunnels interconnect, and that's how they're able to traffic these children or people that are involved within the mind control kind of slave side of it, and the trafficking as well. And there's also tunnels under Blackpool in the UK that connect from Winter Gardens to Blackpool Tower. If you're watching this in the UK, you might know those places. There was also the Metropole, which was a large hotel on the seafront, and Butlins was in there in the 80s, and they were also running, they were part of this network, and they were also running a paedophile ring from Butlins upstairs, where normal residents can't access, and I'd get brought there on a regular basis, and the tunnels all connect there. There's also one, I believe, going from the Metropole up to the Freemason bit up in Bispham in Blackpool. So it's all connected. It's the same in Disney. There are tunnels from Disney to Fort Lauderdale where they have mind control facilities there. Between the hotels and Disney itself, they're all underground, all under the rides, and you can find things about that online as well. That's already been exposed. Another thing I get asked is panda eyes. So you might have heard about panda eyes, the black eyes. I can't say I've ever seen this myself. It certainly didn't happen to me. It didn't happen to my husband, who was also brought up in this at the time. We didn't know that until obviously brought up together as children, and those memories had just been taken away in 1993 basically, and we had no idea until we both started to remember. So black eyes, I can't really comment on that one. I would say my experience, I've not seen that. It could be that these children have been hit purposely to make it look like that, or some other form of abuse has gone on, but in my experience, I'd say that's a bit of a misinformation out there, and that's more down to physical abuse. But I may be wrong. Um, I can just go on what I've seen and what I've experienced, and also talking to other survivors as well. And also now I deal with parents. I help parents whose children they found out were involved in it, and even they would agree they never saw that with their children. You know, they would have known a lot sooner had that have been the case. But certainly those children were still being raped, and they were boys. So you know, take that as you will. I'm here to speak the truth. I'm not here to go along with any narrative or agendas. I'll just tell you as I see it. And the other question was about the Disney tunnels, but I have already touched on that. So they're just kind of a few of the main questions I get asked, really. If you do have any questions, wherever you are watching this video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave some questions below and I'll be happy to answer them either in another video or personally. And I do have lots of other information on my channel, so if you want to follow me there at Old Soul Awakenings on YouTube, I do have various videos there about mind control that's used, like Alice in Wonderland with the Lewis Carroll connection, the Disney programs that are used and things like that. And as I say, I am doing a program. I'll be starting from about 1900 and showing how this sort of infiltrated into the society as a whole. It wasn't elitist anymore or within royal families and things. It kind of has come down the social ladder, really, and now infected everything. It is an infection. And you know, this is how it's so big as well, and how so many people can get away with what they're getting away with, because it's largely infiltrated within normal families, within society. Like the family I grew up in, they were teachers, accountants, nurses is another big one, and they kind of hide behind these sort of professional, seemingly caring roles, and they're not at all. It is infiltration, and it allows them to continue to do what they do, and it's the same with police forces as well. So I will leave it there for this video. I hope that helps everybody. As I say, if you do have any questions, let me know, and I will see you all in the next video. Enjoy your day.